4:15 to me, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. First order of business is we have several sets of minutes. The first is the minutes from the Selectmen's meeting of Monday, October 20th. I make a motion we approve them as printed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a set of minutes from a Selectmen's workshop which occurred on Monday, October 20th. I make a motion we approve them as printed.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have minutes from a Selectmen's meeting which was held on Wednesday, October 22nd. I make a motion we approve them as printed.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the check voucher totals. Excuse me. Payroll for week ending 10/25 was $36,103.93. Accounts payable for week ending 10/18 was $20,104.60 for a total dispersed of $56,208.53. I make a motion we sign.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
I've said this several times before, but in case anybody is here that wasn't there before, we do review each and every bill and initial it. These are the batch totals. Otherwise, it seems like we're spending an awful lot of money with a quick flip of the pen. We have a contract, post-contract with Sanders Searches LLC of Newmarket, contract between us and them to do title searching for our tax collector. It's the one that they have been utilizing. I've had a chance to read. Do you have any questions on it?
Nope.
Well, on Kelly's recommendation, make a motion we sign this contract with them, and the total amount is not to exceed $4,137.27, $8.71 per search.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have the Highway Department work logs, there's 3 of them, for the week of 10/5 to 10/11, 10/12 to 10/18, and 10/19 to 10/25, which are here and available. Anybody would like to look at it. We have a notice to announce. We're going to be having a public hearing on Monday, November 10th at 5 o'clock as part of our regular Selectmen's meeting. The Board of Selectmen will hold a hearing at Ossipee Town Hall on the proposed acceptance of a gift from John and Sue Nelson. This gift of exercise equipment is being donated to the police department. The value of the proposed gift, as best as we can determine, is $5,250. This hearing is held in accordance with the requirements of RSA 3195E. It's a beautiful bunch of equipment. Folks have just bought a house over in Eaton that had this complete gym. They're an older couple, I guess, and have no use for it. They've donated it to the police department. It's beautiful exercise equipment which they will utilize. We do need to have this hearing in order to formally accept it. I have a memo here from Public Works Director Brad Harriman in reference to Young Road winter maintenance. Attached is the proposal from Jacob Sawyer to provide the plowing and sanding services for the upcoming winter season on Young's Road off of Browns Ridge Road. Jacob and his father Matt have been providing this service for over 8 years since Brad has been here. He also has the contract to plow and sand Stoneview Road, which is the development off of Young's Road. The price quoted is the same price as in past years, $50 for each plowing, $50 for each sanding. The highway department would have to travel about 2 to 3 miles each way over the roughest section of Browns Ridge Road to send a truck there to plow a 300-foot-long road. The damage alone from carrying the plows in the air over Browns Ridge Road could cost certainly more than the $2,500 for subbing out the work. For those reasons, he's recommending that the this board accept the proposal for the 2015 season. Do you have any questions on this, Frank?
No, very much fine.
Bob? With that in mind, I'll make a motion, we approve the recommendation of the Public Works Director for Jacob Sawyer to continue to plow that road.
Second.
Oh, yeah.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. We also have a memo from Brad. This is regarding the library roof bids. If you recall, last week we opened the bids, gave them to Brad, took it under consideration, gave them to Brad to come back with a recommendation. Brad says he has spoken with the 2 low bidders on the library roof project, that being All Seasons Construction at $10,800 and MGS Construction, which was $14,000. All Seasons Construction couldn't start until December and would suggest putting it off until next spring. Their assessment of the roof that it is fairly decent condition and would easily make it through the winter. This company replaced the shingles on the Town Hall building back in 2010, and we were very pleased with their work. Besides being $3,200 lower than the next bidder, by holding off until spring, we could have the opportunity to address the masonry work on the chimney, eliminating the chance of the new roof being damaged. Second builder, MGS Construction, would be able to start on the first week of November, providing we can get all of the materials on site by then, and would complete the job in 4 days. They have multiple crews working at any one time. They would have a foreman on site at all times. In Brad's opinion, with All Seasons Construction being the low bidder and also being a local company, their analysis of the existing roof, that it would last another winter without any further damage occurring to the library, and it would afford us to the opportunity to have the masonry work completed first. He's recommending that we award the contract to All Seasons Construction. Any questions on that?
Nope. Not for me.
No, it's just, too bad it couldn't be done this fall, that's all.
Dickie there from All Seasons said that, if you did it this year, it'd be into December. If you got good weather, possibly, but if you could end up with that roof opened up there that have weather coming on you, then we'd be in a world of hurt up there too, so.
Never know what we run into.
Going on with regards, I prefer not to open it up.
Can we carry the funds forward? Again?
Yeah.
We can carry the funds forward. I'm a bit concerned. He's gonna hold that price until spring?
You would hold that price.
It's a long time out to have, all of a sudden materials go through the roof or something.
You see in I think the next thing right after that is the materials quote there. Right?
Yep.
I don't know if it was in there earlier when you saw it or not, but,
Yep.
okay.
The savings, we should wait.
Is the roof currently leaking?
Well, a little bit of leaking getting, we're thinking it's around the masonry joints, I'll get different opinions from the different people who've looked at it.
Okay.
The masonry joints in the chimney themselves, plus there's a shelf in the chimney about a foot and a half up from the roof line itself, where it's an indentation that goes up. And, Dickie from All Seasons is pretty sure that's where the leaking is occurring right there.
Okay.
It's hard to tell because the leaking has been going on for so many years. There's so many stains on the ceilings.
Yep.
So it's hard to tell if it's still leaking. It's usually, if it does, it's during a very windy rain or something like that.
Okay. You're not setting out buckets or anything?
We're not, no.
Good. Thoughts?
Just wait.
Well, I think if we can save $3,000, and there isn't gonna be any additional damage, I think it makes some sense.
Do we have a commitment for it being one of the first jobs he completes in the spring?
It would be, yes, we would probably sign we could sign this proposal of his there, so we'd have it on his books to do right off the bat. When the weather clears, the spring.
As long as we can get reasonable assurance, it could be, you know, if April turns out to be a good month, we could get it done first thing in the spring, and then I could go with that.
Me too.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve, oh, I'm sorry.
The funds were encumbered for a year. Can you do it for another year?
I don't think there's any issue with
Yeah,
that.
no, okay.
I think
It was a separate warrant article, so I think we can continue to encumber it. Yep. I'm gonna make a motion that we enter into a contract with All Seasons Construction for the library roof.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye. You just follow up with that, Brad, and make sure?
Yes. And what I'll do too is this fall, I will also, getting the masonry estimates in, and quite possibly hope to get that done this fall, so that part of it is completed and sealed.
This is also a memo from Brad. This is the 2 quotes received for materials for the library roof. Winnipesaukee lumber, $9,239.41. Ski and Home Center is $10,151.05. The suggestion is that the board award the contract to the purchase of materials of Winnipesaukee lumber if the job is to happen this year. If we wait until spring, we recommend that this price be priced out again at that time. And I tend to agree with you.
There's no way they hold prices during the winter unless we bought it for the time.
Yeah, I don't think that makes any sense to it. I'm gonna say hold off and re-quote the materials first thing in the spring.
I also like to keep it local.
I also do, but I also don't wanna spend $1,000
Nope,
more for
nope.
it. We have a notice from Town Clerk Kelly Skian, retesting the AccuVote ballot machine for the November 4th, 2014 general election on October 28th at 1:00 p.m. in the Town Clerk's office. Anybody interested? We have a contract for use of facilities from the Ossipee Historical Society. They want to use Town Hall upstairs meeting room for their monthly meeting, November 11th, 6 to 8 p.m. They've paid a deposit, and the schedule has been okayed by Peter Walker. Make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice of intent to cut wood. This is on map 40, lot 1, Pine Hill Road. It's a 20-acre lot, 12 acres to be cut. It's part of the UNH Woodlands office. The logger is Bruce Burrow from Molten Borough. They are tax exempt, and there are no cemeteries. I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
At last week's meeting, we approved for the appointment of Georgie Duquette to be a library trustee until the term expires in March. And this is a letter for that purpose. I make a motion, we sign.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice from our ambulance service that they're replacing one of our 2 ambulances for about a month. One of their ambulances is broken down needs a new camshaft, which is a big job and takes some time to accomplish. They have rotated a second ambulance in. The primary ambulance will be older than 5 years during this 1-month period of time, which is, they're required to make that notification to us by contract. We have the bids for doing the town report, which we received last week. We took under advisement for Ellen to give us to review them and give us a recommendation. This is to us from Ellen, that she's reviewed the bids for printing of the town report, contacted several towns who use Select Print Solutions, and they were all satisfied with the end product, delivery time, and especially pricing. Although satisfied with the report produced by Minuteman Press this year, I recommend that the board award the printing to Select Print Solutions, which was the low bidder. Any questions? No. Questions? And I will make a motion that we award the contract for printing them, the town reports to Select Solutions.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there a contract in there we actually signed? That one?
It's just a,
Okay. All right. We have a very lengthy and wordy letter from our auditor. Not going to read the whole thing because it would take me 45 minutes, but it's a good letter. Basically sums up the completion of the 2013 audit. It breaks out some 44 different items that they, not problems, that they're good things that they found with the town's audit. There are just 2 deficiencies which we continued to have in 2013, and that is regarding the inventory of our capital assets and the depreciation thereof. And that's something that this board we are working on. We've got it partly done, but this is something the town's been done for the last 12 years and nothing was done about it. But there are significant findings in the audit which were good, that no fraud, nothing out of the ordinary, that they've checked and double-checked the funds and everything's where it's supposed to be. The final audit we have in draft form, and I believe after we sign this, and they give us the completed audit. And with that, I'll make a motion that we sign.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that completes the red folder. Old business, the covered bridge spread, anything new?
Nothing really new, it's progressing nicely up there. They're up there working, they're pulling apart the west side of it, the cords and the upper and lower cords on it there. I think they have materials ordered for the replacement of what they know of so far. So they're working up there, it's progressing along.
Okay, good. Next on my list, I have cemetery expansion on there. I want to keep it on there, but I don't have anything new to report. I have reached out to one of the abutters of the Grand Hill Cemetery, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. Other than that, I don't have anything to offer on. You guys have anything to offer on the cemetery expansion?
Board has a little bit. Cemetery expansions.
Information?
Yes.
Yeah, a little. I don't come up, I won't hear you.
Okay.
There's a couple of, this is down to Ossipee now.
Okay.
Okay? We got the 2 lots. There are two potential lots that might be available. This is the road that goes out from Granite Road out to Route 16. This is access to lot 639, and lot 639 is sort of an odd lot because there's about 12.6 acres. Right out in back of the cemetery, there's a flat land, but it's very steep beyond that. We had that discussion. This is the only access that these people have to their lot, as far as I can tell, because the house, this lot actually goes out to Old Route 28, where the ball field was. But I think the house is right in the middle of it, so I don't think they have access to that lot as far as the driveway goes. But this might be a good potential lot. The other lot is right here, right next to the cemetery. It's map 134. It's owned by Scott Roberts. They live in South Windsor, Connecticut. This is ideal. Both of them are ideal, actually. I don't know what you'd like to have us do, whether you would like to have us write to them and find out if they're interested in selling a piece, or possibly even donating a piece for a cemetery in consideration of the fact we'd give them credit, some kind of a stone or something, whatever you'd like us to do on that.
Any thoughts on that, Brian? I don't have a problem in the world with the cemetery trustees going forward to that and then trying to negotiate something.
Find out what we can do.
And come back to us.
Okay.
Because it is especially prudent, because one of the things that we've been talking about, and the reason it's on the agenda, is that if we do need to secure funding to expand any of these cemeteries over and above what you may already have in the accounts, then we need to be thinking about that for a warrant article.
Okay.
So-
So I guess we should, really up to us to make a decision which we think would be the best lot to consider and write to them
Yep.
and find out what they might be willing to do or not to do.
I agree.
Okay? The only other thing I'd like to mention is we had the situation with Lot 143. That has been taken care of now. The only thing about Lot 143, I got looking at that, and the owner of Lot 143 bought that at a period of time when those lots were 6 by 12, but they only bought a 6 by 12 lot. But the deed that was written to them says Lot 143A. But it doesn't, the deed doesn't explain the size of the lot, so for all practical purposes, I suppose they own the whole lot, which they shouldn't. It's a tough one, I know.
That is, and I hope that is somewhat put to bed by the actions that
I
you've already
think we've
taken,
got,
so,
according to the attorney, we have no more legal problems,
good,
okay?
good, good.
Okay.
Nice work.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Martin.
Yeah.
All right, we've talked about the library roof, we've talked about the printing of the town report.
Yep.
The budgets which were presented on 10/20. I want to speak on the overall budget, first of all, before we get to that. Our current year budget, which this time of year we begin to watch like hawks to make sure we're not overspending, we're actually in very good shape. There's 17.4% of the year remaining, and we have 23.2% of the budget left overall. So we're in good shape. We have put out a memo to all the department heads. There'll be no non-discretionary spending. If there's an emergency, they can contact us, but this is the time of year when we start to watch that. Not that we don't watch it, but we start to watch it a little bit closer. All right, the October 20th budgets. Conservation agent presented a budget of $1,000. I make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
What happened was that time, we did not have advance notice of these budgets, so we took them under advisement. But we gotta get these dealt with before we move on to the next ones. The next budget was for the Board of Selectmen, was level funded at $16,364. I make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
We had the Ossipee Lake Dam Authority, the 2014 budget was $8,964. It's reduced by $369 to $8,595. I make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The legal budget has been for some years $30,000, and it continues to be $30,000. I make a motion, we approve it.
Which one's that, Rick?
Legal.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have the budget for patriotic purposes, which went down a little bit only because they have an inventory of available flags and markers. It was $1,785, its proposed 2015 is $1,502, for a reduction of $283. I make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee of trust funds, oh, about this one, it went up a lot, it went up $26 from $52.63 to $52.89. But I guess I'll make a motion, we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The treasurer's budget, Natalie didn't make it yet. Did you want to find out about that mileage? She's not here, Natalie? The treasurer actually provided us a budget which is $100 less than last year. But then I think she may have made a mistake, because I found where she may have underfunded her mileage, but we can always amend it later. Her budget in 2014 was $10,580. It's proposed in 2015 to be $10,480, and I make a motion we approve it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
About the mileage, why it's gone
Yes.
down? I'm going with the police now with all the deposits, because she doesn't need the mileage.
Okay, well, that answers that. Good, thank you. Look, she spent $210 last year and then only asked for $100 next year, didn't?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
why.
Very good, thank you. And we have the welfare budget, which was $40,434 in 2014. In 2015, it's recommended 55,269, which is an increase of about $14,000. We have talked about this at length in workshop, and while it is a huge increase, we had some major expenditures this year, and actually, we've only got about $5,000, $6,000 to get us through the next 2 months without going over the budget that we're on. For that reason, I'm gonna make a motion, we continue it into the process at $55,269.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that disposes of the budget last week. Trying to get a little bit better organized. What we did in anticipation of tonight's budgets is we met in a workshop today to have the opportunity to go over them and discuss them and have any questions that we might have prior to meeting with you folks tonight. So we're hoping to streamline this a little bit better. So tonight, first up is town clerk tax collector. You got your changes for the insurance?
I do.
Ah,
Did you have a new printout? I have a new printout for you guys.
please. Thank you.
I'm going for this.
Okay, thank you. We actually got very good news today. We always dread this time of year when we're looking forward to potential increases in the health insurance, which historically have gone up anywhere from 10 to, the worst year I remember was 24%. This year, we've just been notified today that our insurance rate went up 0.09%. 0.9. So, very, very, very good news. The tax collector's budget last year was $274,185. The proposed this year is $280,130 for an increase of $5,945. Kelly, you would like to highlight any of the changes?
My mileage is also going down because of the police escorts. I am asking the records restoration to be increased up to 2,000. I'm also later on going to ask to encumber this year's, only because to do the 2 books that they request us to do costs almost $3,000. So if I combine the 2, I can get those done, and then we can ask for another grant to finish some more books.
Okay.
The salary went up to 3%. My part-time wages went down, my overtime wages went down because I don't have as many elections next year as I do this year. Health insurance, we know, went down. Everything else that went up was related to the 3% raise, and the other big increase would be my postage.
Why did your health insurance go down?
Because I always round up.
Okay. All right. Because it wasn't a 0.9%
Right.
decrease. Okay.
Right,
I'm just
right,
checking.
right.
All right. Okay. Okay. Let me catch up now.
This is a happy
Okay.
medium.
All right.
I don't want to do it right to the penny,
No,
so
sir.
I always round up just a little.
Okay.
And the other thing, my recording fees did go down, and my school and seminars went up $300 just because of all the costs and traveling and staying there. Any questions?
Any questions for me? I will make a motion that we approve the budget at $280,130 even.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I'm next too.
Okay. Elections. Last year's budget was $11,000 even. This year is $4,105. I presume less elections, less money.
Correct.
That's a good thing.
Any questions on it?
I don't have it. I make a motion, we approve the election budget at $4,105 even.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you at the Budget Committee.
Yeah.
Registration, supervisors of the checklist. Last year's budget was $18,137, and the 2015 request is $4,720, a reduction of $13,417.
Questions?
Nice,
Oh, I like it. A lot.
One election.
nice.
One election,
Yep.
no special projects.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. I make a motion, we approve the proposed budget at $4,720.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on my list is the Recreation Department. Peter, last year's adopted budget was $156,735.
And these are the new figures, I don't know if you've got,
No.
with the health insurance.
How come yours went down with the health insurance adjustment? Oh, you would put in extra? Okay, all right.
The sheet that I gave you. last
Assumed a
week
10% increase.
Assumed a 10%
Okay,
increase.
all right, thank you. The 2014 budget was $156,735. The proposed 2015 is $159,909 for an increase of $3,174. Sir,
I went down, our teen program we had in the summers, the
Yep.
last few summers, that originated in 2007 through a county grant, which then became a state grant, which then the state eliminated the funding. So we had that program as a grant-funded program for 2007, 8, and 9.
yep,
Since then, we've been able to run it on our own without any significant increases in the budget. The last 2 summers, our enrollment numbers have been really down. So for next summer, we've eliminated that program, and we're going to incorporate that age group into the other kids.
Yep.
I think that's explained on the other side of the sheet you had.
yep, I get your whole memo on that as well.
As a result, there's a $1,000 decrease in the wages for the summer staff,
Yep,
and a $2,000 decrease in the activities line item. And that's all because of the summer team program.
okay,
Other increases are directly related, solely related to the contract with 3% raise. And longevity goes up because I'll be in my 21st year
yep,
next year.
we saw that. I had a couple of questions, and I just marked question marks on them. Lifeguard wages, last year we raised $6,800, you only spent $42, but yet you're asking for $68 again.
We had a lot of rain last summer.
Yep,
Not as much rain this summer.
yep,
The part-time lifeguard that I had, I didn't have a part-time lifeguard last year at all.
okay,
The part-time one I had this year was not available every weekend.
okay,
And then, with days that rain, I don't have them going at all.
okay. Do you think that's, all right, I understand. On the annual fees, are these all association fees?
They're for National Record Park Association membership, and New Hampshire Record Park Association membership, the Carroll County Recreation Directors Association membership, USA Tennis membership, some conferences, local conferences that I go to,
Okay,
the bus passes for the summer, for the state parks,
okay.
those are the predominant ones.
Could you supply us, prior to going into the budget meeting, can you supply us with a breakdown of that line item? The reason I ask is, quite frankly, $1,555 in fees seems up there. And I'm not saying it's not justified, and it may encompass things that I'm not thinking about, but,
I'd have to look at the figure, but the bus passes for the summer are around $850.
okay. Well, that will explain a lot of it. Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Frank?
Yeah, buses themselves, Peter, for your summer camp, you budget $32.40 and you only spent $24 last year. And you're
That's-
asking for $32.40 again
That's
this year.
pretty much fuel.
But do you need to pull 32 again?
I don't know, I don't know what the fuel costs are gonna do. They're down right now, but
What you did lock in for the whole coming year, off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is compared to last year.
I think it was the same as last year.
Pretty close, it's not up very much.
Do we locked in our fuel? I mean, I presume.
That's where they fuel.
Yeah.
Anything else? Frank?
No.
I don't,
What's your pleasure? Anybody? I'm gonna make a motion then that we proceed with $162,463.
that would be the other figure.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'll take it.
No, no, no. Nope. Can't have it.
150,
159,909.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yep. Thank you. All right, next budget is economic development. There are two line items within this budget. One is for economic development, the other is for the Mount Washington Valley Economic, at $300 apiece, which is $600. And the 2015 department request is for $800. Is Pat not here? Well, Selectmen, we had a lot of discussion about this again in our workshop, and we're going to go forward with a recommendation of $1,500 with this explanation. You've heard me say, since I've sat in this chair, that it was not even a joke, an unfunny joke, that a town the size of the town of Ossipee spends $300 a year on economic development. It doesn't make any sense. Everybody should realize if they really want property tax relief, that comes through two areas: increasing revenues and cutting expenses. Well, for every house that's built, if you collect $4,000 or $5,000 in taxes and they bring two children, you just have a net loss of about $10,000 day one. Commercial development is, I believe, wholeheartedly the answer towards spreading that tax base in two ways. One, in providing jobs, and two, of providing revenue that doesn't cost you expenses. Long story short, we have now a group, in fairness to Pat Jones, she's been the only one beating this drum for years. But we now have a group that are meeting on a regular basis, and we're hoping to formalize an actual economic development committee soon. They had not yet requested any money. In fact, they said they weren't ready to have any. My fear is, and what I'm hoping is, that between now and the summertime, that committee will get up and running. There may be educational opportunities, there may be projects which they want to undertake. If we don't at least pass something for a budget for them to be able to work off from under our direction, if they do get this up and running by midsummer, they'd be looking at almost another whole year before they could get any funding. I don't think that makes any sense. So for that reason, I'm going to make a recommendation that the Selectmen's request for economic development this year be $1,500.
And I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Conservation Commission. The 2014 adopted budget was $5,290. The requested 2015 is $5,490 for an increase of $200. Any questions? Ron, where's your increase?
On the water quality testing
Yep.
being done, simply because the cost of doing the testing is
Yep.
increasing. We still want to monitor the water going into Ossipee Lake. It is important to keep records of what's happening to the streams and what's in the streams as they feed into Ossipee Lake, because they affect the water quality of Ossipee Lake.
Agreed. Any other questions?
Yeah, I do, Ron. You know, $200 is a real small increase, and I recognize that, but when you look at your supplies this year, you budgeted 400, you spent 92. Your reference material, you budgeted 175, you spent 72. Couldn't you kind of absorb the $200
Yeah.
in a couple of those line items and come out with zero increase?
I believe on the supplies and equipment, Pat had things that she was still planning to buy before the end of the year.
Dues and workshop.
Dues and workshops will be expended by the end of the year. We have coming up next week, we have the New Hampshire Association of Conservation Commissions annual meeting, and we have 2 people going to that. So that will be used up. On the supplies and equipment and the computer software, those were under Pat's, what she said she needed, and my understanding was that she was going to use most of that before the end of the year. If she doesn't, then I haven't got a problem with absorbing the extra money yet.
Oh, just a question, because those 2 line items have spent so little this year.
Right.
You asked if it needs, you know, $200 is $200.
Right.
Save what we can where we can.
It's your pleasure.
I
I just soon see it be level funded.
I guess my thoughts are that they've spent $4,000 with the $5,200 budget. There is still 2 months of the year remaining. Much of their work is somewhat determined by how many applications come in, wetlands permits, etc. For the sake of $200, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the amount that they requested at $54.90. If we get to the end of the year and they haven't spent it, then that's something that we can certainly take it up with the budget committee and reduce it at that point.
All right,
Okay. With that, make a motion, we approve the $54.90.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
One question?
Sure.
Before, in previous years, the lake host was part of our budget, and then last year, you moved it in with a separate warrant article on milfoil.
We did.
And are you planning on doing that again
Yes.
this year? Okay. I just want to make sure it gets covered.
Yep.
Hand up.
Yeah.
Since the opportunity of milfoil has been brought, can I ask a question pertaining to the milfoil?
Not unless it's to do with the conservation budget. We certainly can when we get to that, when we get to the
It
public
will have to
input.
do with the warrant article.
Okay, when we get to that, in a little bit. Ellen, make sure and make a note of that. That is our intention to continue to do that.
Okay.
Okay? All right, planning board. The proposed, the 2014 budget was $12,009. The 2015 request is $11,746, $263 less. I looked down through this and I did not have any questions.
I don't.
Anybody from the planning board that wanted to say anything?
Unless you don't have any questions.
I don't certainly. All right, I'll make a motion, I'll make a motion, we approve the planning board 2015 request for $11,746.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The zoning board of adjustment. The 2014 adopted budget was $4,001. The 2015 request is $4,001. I did not have any questions on this at all.
I didn't either.
With that, I'll make a motion, we approve that department request at $4,001.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Cemeteries. The 2014 adopted budget was $28,454. The 2015 department request is $29,654, an increase of $1,200. Gentlemen?
Gentlemen, any questions?
Well, we've talked about this quite a bit at length. And I know one of the things that you would also ask for was to change the title of one of the accounts from maintenance and grave repair from just the headstone maintenance to headstone and grave repair.
Yes, sir.
We'd actually like to double that down. We'd like to include the tree removal in there as well. What we'd like to do is get rid of some of those individual line items that don't make a lot of sense and are pretty restrictive and just simply put it as cemetery maintenance.
I would like that if we could simply move that budget into that, sir.
We can't.
You agree more? They would like to take, excuse me, gentlemen, they'd like to take what we did with the budget. We added on the cemetery, and we added the maintenance. They would also like to put tree removal with that, so it's all one budget, put the money with it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fine, that's
Okay.
great.
It gives you gentlemen a little bit more latitude, and I know this year, for instance, when you had the issue of a bunch of sunken graves that need to be filled in,
A single account for,
a single account will allow you much more latitude to do that maintenance. So,
Fantastic. I would like that too.
you have questions, Frank?
Now, my only question is, new equipment, you had $1,200 this year, you only spent $53.98.
Well, there's an explanation for that. As you know, there's a checkbook. We got a note from the bank that hadn't been used in 7 years. And they told the boys there's no money for equipment. They were buying them junk, and they were using their own equipment. And all the boys losing the money, we drew off that account, bought them all new lawnmowers this year, blowers, weed whacker, bought one new lawnmower. And at this point, we'd like to carry the $1,200 and add $6 to it, or we didn't use it, and get a vacuum chipper, a high-quality vacuum chipper, because right now they rake the leaves. After they blow them, they pick them up by hand and load them by hand. And I believe in a couple of years, in the maintenance, the time it saves them from hand loading will pay for itself. It'll be a lot quicker than the, rake them up by hand, throw them in the truck by hand like they do now, lugging them off. Now they'll be composted. We can save that compost, dump it in one of the old town pits. Roll over in a couple of years, and we'll either give the cemetery or the town eventually a loan pile to use later on. I do believe we have money left over because they had great equipment this year instead of no equipment and junk. They got things done faster. My idea is the boys are getting older, make it easier, make it quicker, and safer. This is why we requested $1,800. As of next year, if we do this, they have all new equipment. It should be a small budget for several years because commercial mowers are good for 7 years on average, and our oldest mower is 3 years
We
old.
have a cemetery trust.
So, and we have commercial weed whackers, they're good for several years, maintained properly, so we shouldn't need a lot of money out.
So in reality, you have spent close to $1,200 for this.
Yes, we have, out of the other budget. How much did we spend, Morton, you remember? The lawnmower and stuff, how much was that, do you remember?
Expenditures.
The total price for the new equipment, do you remember how much it was? $2,100 approximately is what we spent for the new equipment.
Do you anticipate a bunch of tree removal this year?
We have trees to look at. Mort and I are still inspecting. We're way behind inspecting. There's a lot more time in this stuff than we expected, so. And it's not, it's, you know, it's an unpaid position, and Mort has been a godsend. So
Well, I understand that. We appreciate it.
So,
Any other-
we are anticipating the boys, there are some trees that should come out, so we anticipate next year to take some out.
Okay. Any other questions, sir? Bob?
No.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve this budget at $29,654.
Second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
I thought we didn't make it last week. Thank you for making it allow.
No problem. All right, that takes care of our budget for this week. Two quick meeting announcements. We have a budget committee meeting on the 29th at the Freight House. And then on 11/5, we have the regional ambulance meeting here at the Town Hall in the conference room. Okay, open the meeting to public input. Nope, I'm gonna give it to her first, because you had a question before.
This is about the milfoil treatment.
Yes.
I did some research over, I'm gonna say like the past 5 years. I understand the money for milfoil treatment is imperative to the community, I get that. But why such the huge increase from 2009 to 2012? I wish I had my books in front of me to give exact, but I believe in 2009, the milfoil treatment was asking for $3,500 at the time. And last year it was $12,000. Why such the huge increase over a 5-year period?
I can only answer part of that, and I don't remember what they were doing back in 2009, and we could certainly look into that. But last year, we included the lake host program in with the milfoil treatment, which the lake host program used to be in the Conservation Commission budget. Do you remember the amount of that?
I'm gonna say 1,500 off the top of my head, but
So part of what went up last year, is all I'm saying, was because we combined the lake host program in with the milfoil warrant article. Because they are the same thing. I mean, the whole thing behind the lake host program is to try to keep more milfoil from being brought into the lake. So we kind of felt like it was stupid to have one being managed by the Conservation Commission and the other one being managed by us, so we combined them. Past that, I'd have to get back to you with some answers
No,
on that.
no, that's fine,
Okay.
I was just looking,
Yep.
yeah, have a.
Okay.
Now, like I said, I wish I had the paperwork in front of me, I would have exact numbers. As of August, there was an astronomical amount left in the account for the milfoil treatment, because you are receiving grants for $8,000 to match a certain percentage of what we bring in. Do you think that that should not be mentioned in the warrant article, that there is a grant matching that, so the town's not thinking, like me, I was like, oh my gosh, why such the increase after doing all the research? Granted, it's one little minute thing that I fixed in on, but
The actual
people
wording of
knew.
the actual wording of the warrant article is given to us by DRA. So the legal requirements of what's in there can be somewhat stringent. I certainly don't have any opposition whatsoever to maybe better adequately explain before that warrant article is voted on, the points that you're bringing up. I
I
do know that there is,
Understand.
I do know that we have been receiving a matching grant. The rationale behind, and I think that's been explained, quite frankly, at town meeting, what that warrant article asked is for the town to raise its portion of that fight of milfoil. I think there was I thought there was an understanding that that was not all that was being spent.
Raise it all.
Hmm?
You have to raise it all. In other words, if you want a grant of 8,000, you've got to raise the 8,000, and they'll pay you that.
Correct.
Same as when you bridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay?
So I just fixated on one
Ski,
thing.
you were next.
Yes. When you were going over the town audit and the multiple pages, you had said there were 2 items that should be addressed. You only mentioned one.
Well, the second one there's a little bit of confusion about. The first is this, we have to inventory our capital assets. Now that sounds really easy, but by that, they mean, and the buildings we already have done, the vehicles we've done, we have to inventory and value every single bit of town-owned infrastructure, including every inch of road, every bridge, every culvert, everything. And then assign a depreciation to it. And what they're saying, and I guess it makes some sense, is that projects a more clear picture of your financial health. But it is a major undertaking.
I can see that.
We have done the vehicles, we've done the building, Brad is now working on starting some of his portion of the infrastructure, but it's something that's gonna take us a while. I think the thing that I wanna say is, and I'm not trying to shoot at them, because those boards had their priority and they were doing what they were doing. But that's been a deficiency that's been in the town audit for years, and never done anything about. In addition to that one, we were getting zinged, found to be a deficiency because of a lack of a purchasing policy, which we have now got. There was a lack of an investment policy, which we now have. And the last one is a little bit, and I'm still not clear on, that we have to somehow project our post-employment benefit cost to the town for people who are retired. Now, I can tell you, being a retired member of the workforce, the town has no financial obligation whatsoever. I continue to pay for my insurance, and the retirement system pays a portion of it. So they're trying to make us inventory something which is not there. There are no post-retirement costs borne by the taxpayers. So that one is a little bit up in the air still. We don't know what they're looking for.
Okay, all right.
But overall, the audit went very well. And again, most of the deficiencies that were listed in the past, this board has corrected this year. And the 2013 audit obviously didn't show it. Even though we were able to put in there that we have addressed it, it will all come out in the 2014 audit.
Okay, thank you. The other thing is, last week, there was a gentleman in here from the old Dow pit asking for assistance, and he had stated a few things which were incorrect, which I believe I brought up at that time. In other words, we were not stopping him from having a hearing. It was a noticed hearing, and he did have his hearing. There was an issue with the taxes, and we had the hearing. We made a conditional approval on the condition that all taxes be paid up to date as far as the town clerk is concerned, and that I would not sign any boundary line adjustments until I would get the okay from the town clerk. So I just wanted to make sure that it's in the record that we did grant him his approval conditional.
Cannot be recorded until the taxes are paid.
Right.
And I guess that portion is fine, but I'll be very honest with you. I know that there's the rationale behind it not being approved without the taxes being paid, but I quite frankly think that that's none of the planning board's business. With the exception of doing a conditional approval like you did. I think that the issue of the gentleman's taxes should be left with the tax collector and the town clerk.
there's an RSA on that.
I understand that, but the all you have to do is what you ultimately ended up doing, and I just think that you guys muddied the waters with this guy, because all of a sudden he's in here mad at us thinking he's being denied a hearing when we didn't know anything about it.
Well, he was incorrect anyway.
Well, maybe he was incorrect, but it certainly made it sound like you guys were being the tax collector, not the planning board. That, I can tell you that's what it sounded like to me. And all I'm suggesting is that all you had to do from the get-go is say, the only way this can be approved, if it bears the approval, is that if you pay the taxes and you do that conditional approval and leave it alone. If he pays them, it gets approved. If he doesn't pay them, it doesn't go anywhere.
We don't have that opinion because our hearing wasn't until after he was in here.
I understand that. But evidently, or he seemed to believe that he was being denied the hearing because his taxes weren't paid.
Well, he was told by someone else that that was going to happen.
And that's,
Which again
that's
is incorrect.
unfortunate.
No, he was told, maybe, or maybe not a hearing. And that's why he was there.
I just think that to me, it did not sound right. It's not the way, I don't think the fact that the gentleman was behind in his taxes should have been discussed in a public meeting. I don't think it should be that way. I don't think it should be that way.
We have no say in it. It's statute. It says that if the taxes aren't paid, then we cannot do this unless it's a condition.
So you do it as a conditional.
We did.
I know, but in the meantime, you discussed the fact that the gentleman hadn't paid his taxes in a public hearing. Why bother?
Because that is.
Well, I hope you're never on that end of it, because I think it was wrong.
No.
And I'm gonna let it go there.
I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I mean, we have to go by statute, and when it says, are the taxes paid? No.
Fine.
It's on
That's all
the
we said.
Okay, I didn't care for the tone of it, and that, I'm gonna leave it at there. Anybody else have anything else? Nope. Anybody else have something under public input? We have a request for executive, non-public session. Kelly, do you need one tonight? I do. Okay. So we're gonna be, poll the board to go into non-public under RSA 91A3 2:A and C. One is to discuss tax collector, and the second is on the issue of personnel and compensation. So I'll poll the board in favor?
Yes.
And yes, I am as well. We'll be in a non-public session. We will return to public session before we leave. Thank you. It's okay. Okay, we're back in section on the public record. Anybody have anything else?
I don't.
With that, I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.